Welcome back, everybody. In this video, I am going to be talking to you about the struggle that I've been having with trying to find a wedding fragrance. This is going to be a very chit-chatty video today. I'm just telling you that now because I don't have a plan other than I have a bunch of perfumes here that I just want to throw at you and tell you what I'm thinking about. I was really debating about whether or not I could justify buying new perfume for one day when I have, obviously a couple of hundred bottles. Surely there is something already in my wardrobe that I can wear for my wedding day and be happy with it. That said, I have been testing some things as well, just out of curiosity to see if there is perhaps something that would be new to me that isn't ridiculously priced that I could justify perhaps buying for such a special occasion. Now, I am having two ceremonies because we are doing the sort of fun wedding over in France later this year, and we are having a civil ceremony here in Australia, obviously for the purposes of legality. Originally, we were supposed to be eloping, and I use that term loosely because we were telling people, but we just assumed that no one would want to go all the way to Europe to see us get married. But as it turns out, we have a few friends going to Europe now to spend the day with us, which is really so amazing. And the fact that anyone would be willing to fly that far, well, obviously they're not going just for our wedding. They're using it as an excuse to go on a holiday, which why wouldn't you? But it's just, it's very heartwarming to know that people care enough that they would make the effort to get so far away to witness our wedding. Anyway, I'm rambling. I have also asked a friend in the fragrance community for her advice on this particular topic. And she came back to me with some suggestions, two of which were already on the list that I already had. So I'm not going to talk about those today because we are planning, and I hope I'm not jinxing it now that I'm telling you this, but we are planning to do a live stream where we will talk through her recommendations for wedding perfumes for me. So, which I'm super excited about. I haven't done a live stream in a really long time. We're still trying to work out dates and things like that. It probably won't be until July. So, it's going to be a little while away. So in the meantime, I thought I would just talk to you about what I'm thinking, because I have had obviously some people asking me, what are you going to wear for your wedding? And the answer is I have absolutely no idea, as you will see when we get into this video. So again, what I'm going to do today is just talk you through what I had on my list so far. All right, I have blotters, I have samples, and I have bottles. So let's just get into it. Okay, so the perfume that immediately came to mind for me as soon as I started thinking about wedding perfume is one that I got last year for my birthday, and this is Amouage Honor 43. This is a really beautiful white floral fragrance. It's sort of a little bit citrusy in the top, and it's also a little bit green. It also has fantastic staying power. So as a bridal perfume, it's perfect because you'd be able to put it on and just probably leave it for the rest of the day. You probably wouldn't even really need to reapply. But I'm sort of steering away from this one now. And the reason is when I got this perfume, it was in my birthday, so around this time last year. And I wore it quite a bit in the lead up to the summer. And then when summer hit, I wore this a lot. And I don't know, there is something about how this wears in the hot weather versus in the cooler weather that just, I loved this perfume anyway, but it just sings in the heat. And I'm getting married at the start of spring here in Australia and in autumn in Europe. And I just feel like maybe the temperatures won't be high enough for it to wear the way that I love it the most. If I was having a summer wedding, absolutely, this would be at the top of my list and still probably just be a no-brainer for me to wear this. But because I'm going to be getting married in slightly cooler weather, it won't be cold, but knowing that I've worn it across all of those seasons now, I know that I just adore this fragrance in the heat, and I still love it even in the cooler weather, but it just doesn't hit the same way for me. So anyway, I'm rambling. Long story short, I think I've already removed this from the running, and Honor 43 is no longer going to be an option for either of my wedding days. The next one that I immediately thought of, and it's a surprise that I didn't actually think of this one first, but Ormonde Woman by Ormonde Jane. This is an obvious one because this is one of my favorite perfumes of all time. I just absolutely adore this perfume. I feel like me when I wear this perfume. I feel like this perfume just really suits me as a person. And the reason I thought, oh, maybe I should wear this on my wedding day is because if you're going to wear a perfume on your wedding day, surely you want something that resonates with you and makes you feel as much yourself as physically possible. And the reason I'm in sort of two minds about it is that it is quite woody and it is quite spicy and it's got a bit of a darkness to it. And I don't know, I feel like as much as I love this, and it does have florals in it, but I feel like I want a little bit more floral forward fragrance for my wedding day. But if I could have sort of this scent profile, but just with some amped up florals over the top, I think that would probably be perfect. And I even sort of thought about layering this with other fragrances to try and get that effect. I've tried it a few times. I haven't been that successful. I just feel like I would like a different version of this perfume, effectively. I'm thinking no. And I'm thinking also no because I wear this so much. And I think I want something for my wedding day that is not that familiar to me. It's something that is a little bit different to what I'm wearing on the regular, you know? So anyway, so that is Ormonde Woman by Ormonde Jane. So then I went in completely the opposite direction and I thought, okay, if I want florals, then there is one house that has the most beautiful floral fragrances, and that is Parfums d'Amour. So I think if you've watched any of my videos this year, or especially the ones sort of earlier in the year, you'll probably know that I really, really adore Fleur de Lilita. But again, I wear that a lot. So I feel like, again, I want something that I haven't worn that much. It doesn't have to be something that I've never smelled before. It just needs to be something that I haven't worn so much that I'm so familiar with it that I have other scent associations with it. And so then I thought, well, wedding, white florals, what about Melodie de L'Amour, which is another one that has been on my wish list. I have this little 15ml bottle of Melodie de L'Amour. This came in a coffret and you were able to pick the perfumes, which were in the coffret. So I obviously chose Melodie de L'Amour to be one of them. This one is just so beautiful. I absolutely adore it. You have to love gardenia. You have to love tuberose. My only thing with this one now is that is because somebody mentioned that it smelled like mothballs. And it does. Like, I think in the opening, even when I smell it out of the atomizer, it does have a little bit of a mothball vibe to it. And I think that is a thing with tuberose. Or maybe it's a gardenia thing. I can't remember. One of those two flowers, it's a thing. The mothball aspect does die down and you are left with just these beautiful florals. And it is just such a romantic perfume. So I'm still very much considering this perfume as my wedding day perfume for France, not for Australia. And I just think this would be so perfect to wear in France as well because I mean, it's French for a start, but it's just so quintessentially floral and it smells kind of like French perfumery. So I don't know, that all sounds a bit silly, but to me, this just fits my vibe 100%. The only thing, I'm just a little bit skeptical about the mothball aspect. And I'm not sure how Matt feels about this one because obviously whatever I wear, I want him to love it as well. I'm just not sure that he enjoys this perfume on me enough to allow me to wear it. But I'm still considering it. I just need to wear it a bit more and see how we go. So anyway, that is Melodie de L'Amour by Parfums d'Amour. Keeping with the white floral theme, I could not ignore the option of French Flower by Matière Première because I just really love tuberose, obviously. And as far as tuberose fragrances go, this is an absolute stunner. It wears really well. I've worn it to work a few times just to sort of test it out and get a proper wearing of it. It's a contender. It's a beautiful tuberose fragrance. It's very creamy, very elegant, not too loud. It's very soft. You know, it's got a soft aspect to it. Not that it's soft in terms of you can't smell it, but the scent profile is soft. There's no sharp edges in this perfume. So yeah, that is definitely a contender for me at the moment. Anyway, French Flower by Matière Première. Okay, so the next one is one that I've had in my wardrobe for a while, and I just love the bottle. So I have to say that's part of the reason why I considered it. This is Shalimar Souffle D'Oranger. I'm trying to obviously learn French because we're going to France, but I'm not doing a very good job. Anyway, I love the bottle. It's a gorgeous bottle. This is an orange blossom, neroli and petitgrain take on the Shalimar Souffle flanker. So I guess it's a flanker of a flanker. It's really, really lovely. And I did go off it for a while because I kind of went off orange blossom for a while. But now I'm just totally re-immersed myself in orange blossom. I love it. It's really back on the radar for me. This one is gorgeous. It's kind of a slightly soapy orange blossom with that Shalimar Souffle base, with that lovely fluffy vanilla. It's not too vanilla-y though, because you do have that lovely petitgrain and the neroli, which just gives it a little bit of crispness and greenness, which underpins the orange blossom. It's a beautiful perfume. I have nothing that's sort of screaming at me to say, don't wear this on the day. And I think it would go really, really nicely in the French countryside. So, and it would also, of course, photograph beautifully. So it's getting a lot of ticks at the moment. I wish I had more reason to be more discerning about some of these fragrances. So that is Shalimar Souffle D'Oranger or d'Orange. So the next two options that I thought about are two Chanel fragrances, not to be worn at the same time, but number 22 from the Les Exclusives line, and also 1932 from the Les Exclusives line. Obviously quite different. This is aldehydes, white florals, and rose. I feel like I get rose in here, although mostly I just get aldehydes. And then this one is more of a jasmine and iris fragrance, I think, with a sort of some citruses in the top. So it's a bit sparkly, both just very, very beautiful, very elegant, very sophisticated. I just don't think I could go wrong with either of these. The number 22 does sort of have a bit more of a vintage feel to it than the 1932. And again, these are perfumes that I really do feel like me in. I just feel like they fit me. The only thing is the 1932, if I do jag a warm day in France, then this one I actually prefer wearing in the cooler weather because it can sometimes feel a little bit sharp on my skin, but that's pretty rare and I don't think it would be an issue even if we got a warm day in France. I don't think a warm day in France is like a warm day here, so it'll probably be fine. The only thing I guess going against these as my selection for the day is that I have worn these a lot and I wear them a lot to work. So I kind of already have that scent association. Maybe I don't want to wear them for my wedding, but they definitely would wear perfectly for a wedding. I guess I haven't really described or explained what kind of style we're having. I don't really know if I can explain the style. I haven't picked a theme for the wedding. I guess I'm trying to go for elegant, but we're also just getting married in the garden of a villa that we've rented. So we're not having any fancy decorations. I mean, we thought the backdrop of a beautiful French villa in the south of France with a gorgeous garden is probably enough of a decoration. But my dress is very simple. and I really just tried to go for simple and elegant and unfussy, so that I'm trying to pick perfumes that would suit that style, I suppose. Sticking with more vintage sort of feeling perfumes, this is one that I've had in my wardrobe for a while, but I only really discovered it this year. I mean, I only really started paying attention to it and wearing it. This is Rive Gauche by Yves Saint Laurent. This is an aldehydic rose fragrance. Again, very vintage smelling, very old school, very classic perfumery. It's really beautiful. It's slightly powdery too, maybe, if I remember correctly. I've worn it, I haven't worn it for a couple of months. The only thing that is deterring me from making this my wedding perfume is, look, I'm coming around to the design of the bottle. Because I think if you've seen, I don't know, I think it might have been my perfume rotation video where I talked about this, and I said that the reason it's been in my wardrobe for so long but I've never worn it is because I didn't actually like the bottle, and so I just ignored it all the time, but I wanted it in my wardrobe because it is a classic perfume. Whilst I perhaps don't hate the presentation as much as I used to, because now I really love the perfume and that sort of has helped to bring me around to the presentation, I don't know if I love it enough to make it something that appears in my wedding photos. I know that's such a trivial thing. It's just a thought I had. And I've got to rule some of these out somehow, you know, because I've got a big long list of things that I want to consider. And I'm really struggling to pick a winner at the moment. Anyway, so that is Rive Gauche by Yves Saint Laurent. All right, so this is a sample of Xerjoff's Iris. And I really like this. I've not tried this for many years. I've deliberately not tried it because I didn't want to fall in love with it, because it's really, 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 really expensive. Well, it's not a Roger expensive, but it's more expensive than I'm probably willing to pay, unless I can find a second-hand bottle somewhere, or unless I can find somebody who owns it, who's willing to risk loaning it to me for the purposes of taking to France, and then I can take some photos with it, wear it on the day, and then bring it back. I seriously did think about that, but I don't know if I know anyone who owns this, locally at least. It's a beautiful iris fragrance. It's got just like a hint of sweetness, but not overly sweet. It's not overly lipsticky either. It's kind of got a woody sort of element to it. It's a bit earthy. It is a beautiful iris, and it's probably my favorite Xerjoff I've ever tried to date. The only thing is, I don't know how it plays on my skin in terms of longevity, and sometimes it's a bit hard to tell from a sample. Yeah, and the other thing too is, despite the fact that I really, really love it, it is a fairly sort of linear iris fragrance, and for $700, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it, even for my wedding day, which is like probably the one time in my life where I can sort of really go ham on the perfume and just say, to hell with it, like we only get one day. But that's kind of it though, isn't it really? It's just one day, so why would you spend a ridiculous amount of money on it? So that is Iris by Xerjoff. I have nothing controversial to say about it. I just wish I could afford it. Next up is another one from Ormonde Woman. This one, I don't know what I have been doing, but I have been sleeping on this perfume. I remember trying it a few years ago and going, oh, that is really nice. And then I was in the perfumery at the time, and we went on to smell other things, and it kind of went to the back of my mind and I didn't circle back to it. And then I completely forgot about it. And then it stopped being stocked in my local perfumery, so I wasn't able to smell it regularly anymore. And then a few weeks ago, I was going through my sample box and I found a sample of it. So this is Prive by Ormonde Woman. Now, the interesting thing about this is that it has, now let me get the story right. I don't know if I can remember the story correctly, but I think it has over 70 ingredients or 70 notes in it. And I think the narrative that I got from the PR person was that this is like all of their favorite things from all of their other fragrances put into one. So, I mean, it's a very beautiful perfume. I don't think it got great reviews on Fragrantica, if I remember correctly. I think there's some, a lot of people that sort of didn't really rate it. I really, really like this. And the other thing that I was kind of excited about for this one is the jasmine and the white florals are quite prominent in this to me. So it does have more of that floral element, but it definitely has that Ormonde DNA. There is something in here that, and I don't know if it's a spice or if it's the florals being a little bit indolic, but there is a point in the wear where this, I wouldn't say it gets challenging, but it's just, it goes off in a bit of an unexpected direction, but then it does come back and it becomes this beautiful sort of floral, woody, spicy sort of perfume. It has all of those beautiful exotic florals in it that Ormonde is known for. And I also get similarities to San Paquita, which I think is in the process of being reformulated by the house. So I think San Paquita has been discontinued, but they're reformulating it because of regulatory requirements. So there is, I do sort of get a hint of San Paquita in here. I sort of get a hint of Ormonde Woman in here. And I get a hint of a couple of other things. I think like Nawab of Oud sort of came to mind. It's weird. No one's really talked about this, including me. And I mean, I'm a huge fan of the house. But yeah, Prive, you get your nose on it. It's beautiful. It's different. I mean, it's not vastly different to some of the other floral fragrances in their line, but it's certainly still, I think, quite different from other floral, spicy, woody fragrances. Who knew? It's been hiding in my cupboard the whole time. Flat battery. And I don't know what I did with my sample. There it is. This is now a contender for a wedding perfume because, I think it kind of meets what I wanted, what I had in my mind when I was thinking maybe of Ormonde Woman, but not wanting it to be as dark and spicy and woody as Ormonde Woman, having a bit more florals. Sorry, there's lots of planes in the air today. The only thing is I think there is sort of more of a fruity aspect in here as well, but I feel like I get iris in here as well. I get so many things. It's a beautiful fragrance. So that is a hot contender now. The only problem is I don't know if I can get it that easily now. The perfumery doesn't stock it anymore, but I think I can order directly from Ormonde website now. I think they have opened up their online store to international customers. So I may be ordering a bottle of Prive from Ormonde. Anyway, so that was that one. Hot contender, that one. Moving on to perhaps something a little different to what we've talked about so far. I talked about a fragrance in a video a couple of months ago called Lady Whitesnake by Stefan Humber-Luca. It's been getting quite a bit of attention online through YouTube and Instagram lately. In that video, I think I did say that I wasn't going to buy a bottle of it. Well, I kept wearing the sample and Matt was just, every time I wore it, he was just going, what is that? What is that? What is that? It's so good. He'd want to sniff my neck. I'm just waiting for the plane to pass. So many planes today. So anyway, I bought the bottle and I am trying not to wear it too much because, obviously, if I'm thinking about wearing it for my wedding day, then, I want it to still sort of feel special. The only thing is I'm not planning on wearing this for France because I think the weather will be slightly warmer in France and I think this is more, for me at least, more of a cooler weather fragrance. It's a suede fragrance, but it also has a lot of florals and a little bit of fruit in here as well. It's quite woody in the base, so it does have, it's not super heavy, but it's heavy enough that I think the very beginning of autumn in France, it might still be a little bit warm to wear it. But for our civil ceremony, which will be at the very beginning of spring, coming out of winter, it'll be still quite cold, and I think this will be perfect. And I'm seriously considering this one purely because I love it too, even though it's not really the style of perfume I would have thought of for myself to get married in, but Matt just loves this so much every time I wear it. that I just could not ignore it. I could not ignore that aspect of him really, really loving it that much. And I have to say, the plans that we have for the civil ceremony day, even though it's very low key, I just know that there is going to be a bit of an opportunity to snuggle, and he's probably going to want to, you know, get close to me if I'm wearing this perfume. So that is Lady Whitesnake by Stefan Umber Luca. However, there are two more contenders for the civil ceremony. The next one being Precious Forest by Keiko Macheri. This is another absolute favorite of mine at the moment. I bought this year. I was raving on about it all last year, or for sort of half the year last year during my no-buy. I went through several samples of it. It's a beautiful fragrance for the cooler weather. It's iris, but it's also got like this dark, earthy, green, foresty aspect to it. The greenness in here is not sharp. Really, really stunning. It's got really great longevity as well. It warms up beautifully on the skin. It just creates this wonderful scent bubble that just feels like velvet, and it is gorgeous. So this is another contender for the civil ceremony because I think in the cooler weather, this will just be beautiful. However, I mean, as much as I obviously love this one, I don't think Matt loves it quite as much. He doesn't dislike it, but you know, he doesn't sort of ask me what I'm wearing when I'm wearing this one. So that is Precious Forest. The second last one that I'm also considering for the civil ceremony is Blondine by Frasai. This is a really gorgeous, floral, musky, suede sort of perfume. It doesn't smell like a leather perfume, but the suede is there's definitely a suede note in here, I think. I'm pretty sure there's a suede note in here, but even if there isn't a suede note, it comes off as being sort of a little bit suedey. But it is so fluffy, and it also has, I think, a lily note. So you've got this beautiful floral note of lily that's just so fresh and clean, gives it a little bit of a soapiness, and then you've got this really super fluffy musk in there as well. It's so pretty. It's just such a pretty perfume, and I only got this. This is this is like another Victoria scenario here going on here. I've only had this, well, I got it at the same time as I bought Victoria, but then, you know, I smashed Victoria. Not literally smash it, but I hit it hard for several weeks, and I've got quite a dent in Victoria. So I told myself I have to stop wearing Victoria for a while. And I started wearing this one, and this one is just so comforting. So I just thought this might be perfect for the civil ceremony because I think it'll work really well in the cooler weather again, but it's just such a comforting fragrance. It's really pretty, and you know, I'm going to be around family, so, you know, comforting is a good quality to have in a perfume, I think, when you're hanging out with your family. Anyway, so that is another contender. So I'm not totally sold on the Lady Whitesnake for the civil ceremony yet, but I mean, I am kind of leaning towards that one, but those other two are definitely contenders. I think out of the three that I'm thinking of for the civil ceremony, I think Blondine and Lady Whitesnake are the two front runners at the moment. Anyway, so they are what I'm considering to date, except for two that I will reserve for the conversation that I have with my friend on a live stream in the coming weeks, hopefully. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this, please do give it a thumbs up. And I just want to say thank you as well to all the newcomers. There's been quite a few newcomers in the last couple of weeks, so welcome to everyone who's new, and thank you for continuing to engage with the channel, particularly for those of you going through the backlog of the older videos. I'm getting a few comments here and there on some really old videos now. But I also just want to say a special heartfelt thank you to all of you, because I know there's a few of you who just consistently, every video, you say something. And even if it's just to say, I'm watching your video, it really, I didn't realize the act of leaving a comment makes such a difference to, I don't know, how the video gets dispersed through the algorithm, through the interwebs. But apparently it does make a difference. So I just wanted to say thank you. For those of you who knew that, even when I didn't, for doing that and for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. Anyway, please do share your thoughts, whether you have any recommendations of things to try, and because I still have a few months left before we have to make a final decision, or a couple of months anyway. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.